Shalom, shalom, brother Kadash. Want to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, great millstone. Peace, blessings, honors to all the brothers in this truth. Let's let this play.
The whole fleet of them, look on the SA. My gosh. These 3 videos, released by the Department of Defense, have changed the way many people see what we can't explain.
The moment you mention UFO, immediately what comes to mind are little green men, tinfoil hats. That's not at all what we're dealing with.
Let's pause that right there. The UFOs are so important. Really, they're called the chariots of Israel, because they're the chariots of our salvation. They're salvation for Israel. You know, Yahweh Shai is our savior, and he's going to use these chariots in order to save us. You know, 1 Thessalonians 4:17, us being caught up into the clouds. You know, Revelations 21, us coming down from the heavens. You know, Isaiah might be like chapter 26. You know, coming to the chambers. But this right here is Matthew chapter 28, and then I'll probably try to find that one, because he just said something very important. Matter of fact, let me take it back. He said you're used to hearing about little green men or tall grays, right? The tall, skinny grays, aliens. And I like what he said. He said this is not what we're dealing, or we're dealing with something else. And he's exactly right.
Plain.
The moment you mention UFO, immediately what comes to mind are little green men, tinfoil hats. That's not at all what we're dealing with.
Exactly. That's not at all what you're dealing with. This is what you're dealing with, because the aliens, which are known, tall gray aliens, which are known for UFOs, it's the same dynamic the angels are known for, the chariots of Israel. This is Matthew chapter 28, verse 1. It says, in the end of the Sabbath, as it began to draw toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the spectrum. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. Rolled back the stone, man, himself. And you know, he had to be very strong to do that, and sat upon it. So for you to sit on something, right? Let's just say it. You know, you got a butt. You know, he's shaped like a man. That's why it says verse 3. His countenance was like the lightning, and his raiment white as snow. So man, we were made in the image, so we're shaped like angels. I won't say the angels shaped like men. I'll say we're shaped like the angels, you know. And it says, for the fear of him the keepers did shake and became as dead men. And the angel answered. So not only shaped like a man, but he's talking. You see what I'm saying? So what do you use to talk? A mouth. But the thing is his countenance was like lightning, because that's how he came down with power. And its remnant white as snow. He had a white garment on. And said unto the woman, fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Yahweh Shai, which was crucified. Right? He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come see the place where the Lord lay. That brings us, let's jump down here. This is the book of Acts, chapter 1, starting at verse 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they had beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sights. So imagine what these people are talking about in this video. Imagine a so-called UFO, him being taken up, him being abducted or beamed up, right? And the UFO, now the UFO is cloaked in a cloud. That's why it's calling it a cloud. But there's a vehicle in the cloud. There's a chariot in the cloud. He's taken up, and he's received by the cloud. He's received by the chariot out of their sights. They can't see him no more, you know, because he went into the chariot. It says, while they looked steadfastly towards heaven, the skies, right? Just like in Matthew's, it said that the angel came down from the skies, from the heavens, which is talking about the skies. As fastly towards heaven as they went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel. Now it's calling them 2 men. These ain't 2 men that's just around. These are 2 special men that's standing in white apparel. They're angels, which the world calls aliens today. And white apparel, there it goes. White remnant in Matthew's 28, white apparel right here in Acts chapter 1. Now they talking. So they speaking the same language of the men. during that time. So which also said, ye men of Gilead, why stand ye glazing up into heaven, into the skies, right? This same Yahweh which was taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Why? Because the same way he went up into a cloud, he's gonna come back with the clouds. That's here. Let's make this quick stop right here. That's Revelation chapter 1. Hopefully this will be edifying, getting straight to the point. Revelation chapter 1, verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds. So the same way he went up into the cloud, which is a chariot of Israel, which is what the world calls a UFO, he's coming back with the clouds. He's coming back with a whole bunch of UFOs. And every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindred of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. So he's coming back with power, just like the angel did. Here, let's jump back at another account of that. This is Zechariah chapter 5. It says, then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roe. So there was, like I always like to say, there wasn't planes, there wasn't helicopters during this time of Zechariah. So what was flying in the sky? You would call it a UFO today. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answer, I see a flying roe. The length thereof is 20 cubits, the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. Then said he, key word, he. And who is the he that's saying this? It's an angel. He unto me. He didn't say then said it. He said then said he unto me. This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stilleth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of a thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. It's going to enter in through the whole world and these different kingdoms, and it's going to destroy them. It says, then the angel that talked, so you got an angel that's talking with Zechariah, with me, went forth and said unto me, lift up now thy eyes and see what it is that goeth forth. And what's the similarity? The languages that the Hebrew Israelites were speaking during this time was the ancient Paleo Hebrew. So Zechariah could speak it, and then in the book of Acts, the disciples could speak it. And see, the point is, it says that it was an angel. Pause that right there. Let's let this play.
In 2004, off the coast of California, an F-18 Super Hornet training exercise was suddenly interrupted by a call over the radio that would come to define Commander David Fravor's career.
There's certain things in your life where you just remember in vivid detail what happened. And that's one of them, because it's honestly the strangest, most obscure thing I've ever seen flying.
Fravor, the commanding officer of the Navy's Strike Fighter Squadron 41, and another F-18 scrambled to check out an unusual radar blip 80 miles off the coast.
So as we're looking around, the backseater in the other airplane comes up and says, hey, Skipper, do you see? And before he says it, I'm like, dude, do you see that? As soon as we look down, we see the whitewater, and then we see this little white tic-tac. It's pointing north-south, and it's just going forward, back, left, right.
It's just bouncing around?
Yeah, like a ping pong ball.
What was its shape? What was its... what did it look like it was made out of?
Like a perfectly smooth white tic-tac. Or for people that need a bigger visualization, a giant propane tank.
Fravor says the F-18s began circling, Fravor at 20,000 feet, and the so-called tic-tac only about 50 feet above the surface of the water.
And I say, hey, I'm going to go check this thing out. And the other pilot stays and says, hey, I'm going to stay up high. And then it starts coming up at us. We call it two-circle fight, but it's coming up. I'm coming down. So it literally is aware we're there. There's no doubt because it mirrored me. So here it is. I cut across, and I get to about half a mile of it. So I'm about halfway across the circle. As it gets in front of me, it just goes poof, and it's gone. And it's gone like that fast.
What do you mean, poof, it's gone?
I mean exactly that. Like, it's 1 minute it's there, and the next second, it's like magic trick. So I asked the other airplane, I said, hey, do you guys see that? And they're like, it's gone. It just disappeared.
When you saw this kind of performance, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
What the hell was that?
Once back on the carrier, Fravors' team.
And here this is right here. Let's go back. Back. This is Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed. So this is saying, look, come, my people, enter into thy chamber. What's the chambers? The chambers of the UFOs. Because that's where the door is going to be shut. The people who got saved, the Israelites that got saved, they've been saved. You read about that in Revelation chapter 15, and they're going to hide, pretty much, they're going to be saved in those chariots into the indignation, to that second death has overpassed. And then that's when you get Revelation chapter 21 with them coming back down to inherit the earth. Pause. Hopefully this is being edifying. This is Matthew's chapter 24, right? Because Matthew chapter 24 is a powerful book, man. It's a powerful chapter. The whole book of Matthew is a powerful book. But Matthew chapter 24 pretty much breaks down exactly how the Lord is coming back. And it's telling you how everything's going to happen. But I'm going to jump to verse 29. It says, immediately after tribulation of those days shall the sun and moon be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. Why? You got something called nuclear missiles. And that's gonna be what causes the second death, which is by fire, right? And when that debris and that from those nuclear missiles and the radiation clouds and the mushroom clouds and that stuff goes up into the sky, what happens is it could circulate the earth. And with so many of them going up into the sky, it could block out the moon. It could block out the sun. You're not going to see it. And it could cause EMPs to where everything goes dark because there's no electricity. All this plays into it. It says, and the stars shall fall from heaven. Because when those nuclear weapons, what do? They go up into heaven. They go even up into space. And then they come back down to hit their target. It says, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Why? Because when they hit, they cause earthquakes. They're so strong. It says, then after that, it says, then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. So, okay, here comes the Lord. But he's coming in heaven from the skies. It says, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So the tribes of Israel, we're going to be mourning the elect, right? Revelation chapter 7. I ain't gonna pull them all, but hopefully this could be edifying. Now we gonna be mourning. That's where you get Isaiah. What is that? That may be Isaiah chapter 50, or it could be Jeremiah. Here, let me fact check that. Okay, I'm thinking of Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 50. Hosea chapter 1 and 11. Right, then this when you get Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 4. In those days, these same days is talking about Matthew 24. And in that time, saith the Lord, this is on Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 4. The children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Lord their God. See, it matches up perfect. Now, back in Matthew 24, the New Testament, see, this is why you can't have the New Testament without the Old Testament. You can't have the Old Testament without the New Testament. It goes together. In Matthew chapter 24, now it says, and there shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, And they see it mourn, same thing, weeping. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in his clouds, of coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So is it just mist, cloudy mist that he's coming with great power and morning and glory? No, it's talking about what you see on your screen, these UFOs. Look, this particular one that they had on the screen, the thing was turning. It was going fast. It was slowing down, going against wind. They was surprised. They was like, man, look, they pretty much was surprised at the glory of it and the power. Like, look what it could do. The power of it, you know, it moved so fast, it zipped, it turned at a dime, you know. So it's the great power and the glory, and that's what he's coming with, the clouds of heaven, which is the same thing that is talking about in Revelation chapter 1 when it says you see him coming with the clouds. Verse 31, and he shall send his angels. So now clouds and angels, what the world calls aliens and UFOs, with a great sound of a trumpet, and they should gather together his elect. So what are they coming for? To gather his elect, and with power and glory to destroy, from the four winds and from one end of heaven to the other. So we scattered. Israel's been scattered. So that's why they're coming to gather the elect that's been scattered all around. You know, and so that's one thing what their intent is, because that's what they want to do. They want to find out what's the intent of whoever's piloting these UFOs. That's one intent, to gather the elect. And when y'all finally accept that and figure that out, y'all gonna come up against us, because y'all gonna know that we're the elect, and y'all gonna want to come up against us, and then that's when the Lord really gonna get y'all. But this is 2 Thessalonians, just to give you more context, right? Just to give you more context of the clouds and the angels that he's coming with, right? 2 Thessalonians verse 7. 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 7. And to you who are troubled, rest with us, the elect, right? When the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven. See, there it goes again. He's going to be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. So why are these angels need to be mighty? Because they're going to be fighting, man. In a flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God. So they're taking vengeance. They're actually fighting in a flaming fire on them that know not God, and know not Yahweh, right? And that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. I mean, that's why. I mean, there's no way around it. And then when you wrap all that together, right? You get Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. And there was a war in heaven. That's why he's coming back with mighty angels to fight and take vengeance. And he's coming back with power and glory with these so-called UFOs. Y'all don't know what these UFOs could do. They could go in and out of dimension. They could zip around. You know, verse 7 in Revelation chapter 12. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels. So there's a war in heaven. You got what's tracking this this UFO that's on your screen? It's a jet. Who's in it? It's a military man, an Air Force man. That's the dragon. The dragon is likened into the armies of the earth, right? And their military men are the angels that's going to fight against the Lord and his angels in the sky. You got UFOs going against fighter jets. And prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. So they're going to prevail not. Nada, you know. Here. Let me see. Get you another account of that real quick to show you how it all matches up. This is Revelation chapter 19, verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies. See? I saw the beast and the kings of the earth. Who's the kings of the earth? The rulers, you know, Putin in Russia. Right now, Biden in America. The premier over there in China. You know, they're leaders, they're kings. And their armies. See, that's who the dragon and his angels. It's the kings of the earth and their armies. The nations, the kingdoms of the earth. Gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. What's the Lord's army? The angels. See, so it all goes together. This thing be right now. I'm making it plain upon the table for those of you. Now, the brothers in the truth already know this, but for those of you that may not know, I'm making it plain upon the table for you. And then wrap it all together. If you still can't see it, right, and you still can't understand it, we're going to wrap it all the way full circle. Second Esdras chapter 13, verse 1. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. So, just like John, Ezra is about to get the same vision. It says, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong. Key word, that man waxed strong with thousands of heaven. Now, the Lord is not an ordinary man, but it's saying man because the features, which we get that in Revelation chapter 1. It says he had arms, legs, he had a garment, he had hair white like wool, so it looked like white wool on his head, beard, red eyes, and he had skin that looked like burnt bronze, which is about the color of me or darker, so we were made in the image, right? It says with strong, he said that man waxed strong. He's very strong, man. The strongest force that you could think of, that you can imagine, with thousands of heaven. So thousands of chariots. Thousands of heaven mean thousands of chariots. It says, and when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him, because he's coming with great power, like we kept reading. Just like in Matthew chapter 28, the angel came down, his countenance was like lightning. So the two guards, they gave up the ghost pretty much. They died by just looking at him. Exactly. It says, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt up that heard his voice. Remember, it says he coming in Second Thessalonians. It says he coming with a flaming fire, right? And like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of the number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. So who is the man, right? Out of the number, out from the four winds of the heaven, meaning they're going to come from every direction to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Who is that? That's talking about the kings and their armies of the earth. When the so-called UFOs, which are the chariots, when they're coming down, which the Bible refers to them as clouds too, when they're coming down and the Lord is coming back down, and he's waxing strong with thousands of heavens, the armies of the earth are going to meet the Lord in the sky to try to fight against them. You see this on your movie Independence Day. You see this on your movie Independence Day 2. That's exactly how it's going to look. They know that. Whoever made those movies got that from the Bible. And they showing you, look, there's going to be a war in heaven. The only difference is, in Independence Day 2, they won. But this is what's going to happen in real life. To subdue the man that came out the sea. So they trying to take him down. And beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain. So now we hear about clouds and mountains. Because you got to remember, the man that's seeing these visions, they don't know what a UFO is. They don't know what a jet is. So they're trying to describe it the best they can. So that's where you get clouds from. That's where you get a great mountain. But it's not a mountain, and it tells you why. And flew upon it. Mountains don't fly. So this would be what you would call, if you've seen a gigantic mountain in the sky flying, you would say it's a UFO. You see what I'm saying? But I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could not see because it wasn't coming out the ground. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. So they were afraid when they seen the power, just like this video. They looking at that thing, they kind of amused by it, amazed, but they're afraid too, because they know they can't match that power. But they still fought. Why? Because the Lord made them fight the same way he hardened Pharaoh's heart. He's going to harden their heart to make them fight. It says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, right? But only I saw that he sent out his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. What do we know that to be? That's a beam. That's a you could call it a laser beam. That's what we call it in today's term, is a laser beam. Why? Because like a laser beam, it destroys. It's like a blast of fire, um, and sparks and templates just all mixed into one. And it tells you that. It says, and they were all mixed together. See, in the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and a great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight. So the Lord shot back at him. He bust back at him. But let's see what happened to them though. It says, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. And we know a laser beam, whenever we see it, in Star Wars movies and stuff like that, what happens if somebody gets zipped by a laser beam? They just get turned to dust. So that's exactly what it's talking about, man. These so-called UFOs, they ain't been shooting back right now, but when they start shooting back and they start fighting, because it ain't the time. Everything's set for a appointed time. When the Lord returns, you see that gigantic, y'all call it a mothership UFO. We call it a fathership. We call it a chariot of Israel. And you see it come down, and you see thousands and thousands of millions of smaller chariots. Then you're going to see a war in the heavens with the nations like America, China, Russia, all these different nations going up there to fight. They're going to have their military men with their jets and whatever little technology they got behind the scene to fight against the Lord in the heavens, and they're going to lose. They're utterly going to lose. And then the chariots are going to save the elect, and you're going to have that second death by nuclear wars, nuclear missiles hitting different parts of the earth, burning everything up. That's how it's going to end. With that, I'm going to say salvation to the elect. Shalom. Oh yeah, and by the way, we're going to inherit the kingdom, and we're going to inherit it forever.